Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by Cool70.com, mana traders, as well as Twitch subs and Patreon supporters just like you. My name is Evan Irwin, and get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, PowrDrgn.
What's up, everybody? And I hope you got to enjoy some downtime for Juneteenth.
Absolutely. Reuben Wrestler.
Hi, everybody. We're all elsewhere except for Evan. Evan's holding it down in his actual house.
Chilling. I'm not on any locations. Well, if I'm on location, we probably can't record or broadcast, so...
Oh, that's a good point.
It's a good thing I'm
Compared
here.
to my normal setup, I look like I'm in some type of lab. It's just like plain white behind me.
I don't know why it looks like I'm like a museum feature.
The last time, a little bit there, Reuben.
Scoot to my left,
Yep,
like that.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I did a show from here, there was a YouTube comment that said that I looked drunk, which was very funny to me. This is just the lighting.
You look very flush, right? You look
I do look
red,
yeah.
And so, like, you know, that would be...
Well, the red shirt doesn't...
The red shirt's not helping a lot either. Lighting. Yeah, in terms of bouncing the light.
Oh, I had to move the lamps in my Airbnb, so I had some decent lighting. So
nice.
we're good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you missed our pre-show, patrons and subscribers to this channel get access to that extended version early. We kick it off with our first pick in our promo code reminder. If you go to coolstuffinc.com, use the promo code MagicMics to get 5% off anything in the store, single, sealed supplies, whatever you want. You can use it as many times as you want. And please do, because that helps us and helps support the show and support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight on Twitch. Thanks to coolstuff8.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock. Use promo code MagicMics. All right. So, Assassin's Creed is Assassin's Creeding right now. We are in what some has lamented, because this has been happening now for like, 2 to 3 years now, of there's just release after release after release. Bloomburrow is going to start to show up on July 9th, and that's like 3 weeks from now, and we're just like, oh God. And I'm like, well... And this was a little conversation during the week. And I was like, well, you're not wrong in terms of like content creators kind of have a hard time at times keeping up with the fire hose. I mean, hell, we have a hard time at times keeping up with the fire hose. And we have yet another set. And if you don't know anything about Assassin's Creed, kind of like me, I played the pirate one, the Black Flag one for a little bit, but that was about it. A lot of this is just like, what the hell is this? And how do I even pronounce this card? You know, and so on. And I was really impressed in some ways in that, like, this train keeps on rolling and sales have kept up, even if content creators have not. Modern Horizons 3 was killing it, and Bloomburrow is primed to explode.
Those are kind of my 2 points. You know, that one, as a content creator, it actually is easier to make content because there's always something, right? If you're not interested in this thing, there will be a thing next month, guaranteed, right? So there's always something to make. And sales don't seem to be struggling in any way, shape, or form because we've been doing this. So as much as we want to complain about it, the strategy works.
Yeah, if the sets are good, they've been selling. Like, and I'm sorry, Murders wasn't a very good set. OTJ was kind of juiced to the max because of that pushing in the Aftermath set or whatever into it, or whatever, the big score thing. But because that added a ton of value. So that really worked out. And Modern Horizons 3 is nothing but value. So that's been killing it. And was bigger than Lord of the Rings in terms of pre-release turnout and stuff like that, which was great. And so, yeah, if Bloomburrow is solid, like, it doesn't even have to be the best set of all time. If it's just in the upper 70-80% of sets, it will absolutely destroy. The pre-orders for this thing are ridiculous, and we barely scratched any surfaces. We've seen some art and like 3 cards or something. That's all people needed. They're like, oh, I'm ready to go. Like, let's go do it, because Bloomburrow is going to be awesome. Please, God, let it be Good.
Dude, you're giving everybody cute animals, and cosplayers get a reason to dress up in their furry suits. Like, of course it's going to sell.
Yeah, let's freaking go. So, as we do, we pick a few cards from the preview list to talk about. Now, this is a smaller set. There's only 100 cards in the set, so we're going to pick 2 cards each instead of the usual 3 cards. But the first card I want to bring up, the cards I chose specifically because I thought the designs were kind of neat. And at this point, a lot of what sort of makes me excited and interested about new Magic cards are not the ones with 200 words on them. You can 200 words all day. You know, show me something that's neat, cool, a cute take, an interesting way to do something. And that for me kicks it off with Become Anonymous. What would you mean by Become Anonymous, right? Well, you can really just take this creature and they have no idea where it's at anymore. For 2 blue and 2 generic mana, it is an uncommon instant that says exile target non-token creature you own and the top 2 cards of your library in a face-down pile. Shuffle that pile, then cloak those cards. They enter the battlefield tapped. To cloak a card, you put it on the battlefield face down as a 2/2 with ward 2 generic mana, and you turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it is a creature card. I love the mind games that this card has, and it's one of the really good ways, I think, honestly, that a Magic card has ever shown somebody kind of just like disappearing into the crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a very exciting card. This card does a lot. It counters a removal spell. It makes 2 additional bodies, and it can theoretically get around a detrimental comes into play effect. So, you know, there's lots of reasons to love Become Anonymous. You can also, you know, if you manage to threaten an opponent's card, you could theoretically cloak one of your opponent's things and keep it forever. There's a lot, and also beyond the mechanical applications, the flavor of this card of like falling into the crowd and disappearing is spectacular.
I mean, at instant speed, at a bare minimum, you're getting 2 more bodies.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a blue collected company of sorts, while also keeping the 3rd creature alive. You know, potentially, I guess, because you're countering it. You know, moving your creatures around. Like this is a really interesting card in a lot of different ways. I don't like, it's one of those ones that's like, it borders on the idea of like, maybe I could do something with it in a constructed space. But yeah, this is just going to be fun in general to have.
Just a fun, cool card. That's all it needs to be. For the second card I want to talk about here, let's bring it up on the screen. Help me out here. Is it Caduceus?
Caduceus.
Staff?
Could be Caduceus, Caduceus.
Caduceus, I could see as well, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a staff of Hermes. Feel free to phonetically explain it to me in the comments and or in the chat. For a white and 2 generic mana, it is a rare legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has lifelink. As long as you have 30 or more life, equipped creature gets +5/+5 and has indestructible and, quote, prevent all damage that would be dealt to this creature with an equip of 2 white mana. And as we would know here in Commander, this is already turned on. This thing is sweet. It's sick. I like cool, fun, you know, artifacts and specifically equipment that just kind of go nuts in Commander. So you can kind of have that really cool, fun payoff, but ultimately you're still putting 5 mana in this thing before it's hitting. If it does ever get to hit, if the creature doesn't get exiled or whatever in the meantime. And yeah, I just thought it was a neat card.
Yeah, this one's just pretty cool in general. I mean, obviously there's already decks, especially in Commander, that are built around having artifacts and enchantments, so like an equipment particularly. So there's going to be a lot of people looking for this card. And if you don't have artifact removal, man, that creature is going to be hard as hell to deal with.
Yeah. The Caduceus staff you'll recognize from anytime you've ever had first aid. It is a ubiquitous symbol, and getting like these big named things like Leonardo da Vinci and, you know, the Caduceus staff is kind of wild as it comes through Assassin's Creed. This card in particular, you know, Sarah Ascendant is an extremely powerful card in the format as well, and this has that 30 or more life +5/+5 clause on it.
Right.
This is just going to be a very powerful card, and it's also going to make your commanders even scarier.
And it's got a really cool kind of release valve in that if you deal enough damage to the player and you get them below 30 life, then the shields kind of come down and stuff. So that's neat. I like how all the things kind of clink together with this one. Reuben, what's your first card?
The best card removal is player removal. But my card is, I mean, it has 3 things happening on it that I've never seen on a Magic card before. So I kind of had to talk about it, and it's the Capitoline Triad. Capitoline Triad is a 10 generic mana 7/7 legendary creature, God Artificer, okay, who has these abilities. Those who came before. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each historic card in your graveyard. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. Then it has the following activated ability, and at no point during this activated ability could I predict what was coming next. Exile any number of historic cards from your graveyard with total mana value 30 or greater, you get an emblem with creatures you control have base power and toughness 9/9. That's hilarious. So I don't know the lore of this character. I don't really care. There's so much to be done here. You can do an artifacts deck, a legendaries deck, and a sagas deck. Let's go through the three of those in particular. Artifacts, it's real easy to mill expensive artifacts. We've got Metalwork Colossus, a bunch of 7-drops. And then once you exile all of those, all of your Thopter tokens and all of your 0/0 construct become base 9/9 that maintain all the rest of their abilities. Then you've got legendaries. There's a couple ways to take advantage of legendaries. There's Yoshimaru. There's the guy that allows you to cast legendaries from your graveyard. There's things like Nethroi to be able to, and then that's sort of a self-mill strategy in and of itself, primarily in Abzan. And that's another easy one to get to 30 and make all of your crazy legendary creatures 9/9. And then now we've got sagas. Sagas is interesting. We've got a couple of saga-centric decks, and a couple of them have had graveyard themes. I'm not as hopeful on that one. But if we are playing the new Zur to turn all of our sagas into 9/9s with lifelink and Death Touch, then that'd be kind of interesting as well. So the Capitoline Triad has a lot going on. There's a lot of ways to make it work. Any sort of self-mill is going to be able to do it. And when you self-mill to make it cost less, it's kind of even fueling it.
Yeah, I think very purposely having this just be all colorless mana leaves it wide open for how you can build with this and what decks want it. And it's obviously built to be a commander card, in this sense, but man, like turning everything into 9/9s is actually pretty damn sweet.
This is one of those cards that makes me go like, there's got to be a Universes Within Masters thing in a couple years that we've talked about before, because this is the type of card that you would want to reprint. You know what I mean? Like 5+ years down the road, God knows what this is going to cost type thing, because it is 100% colorless and generic, not a mana symbol anywhere on it. And when it can go on anything and a variety of shells that we've already spoken about, I mean, that's just a winner. I don't know how else to say that. And anyone who wants to run a really cool, interesting deck of any of those 3 varieties could look at this card and go, oh, maybe I could work with this. I think that's rad. And I love the abilities. I'm sure it has something to do with the characters in the game or something. I have no idea.
Sure.
But why is it a 7/7 and it makes the things 9/9s? It's in there somewhere in the lore, I'm sure. That's okay. Reuben, what's your second card?
So my second card has a very magical sentence on it, and it's worth talking about just because of that sentence. White finally has their Relentless Rats with Templar Knight. Templar Knight has is a generic and a white for a 3/1 with Vigilance. So we already have a 3/1 Vigilance for 2 mana. It is an uncommon human knight. It has an activated ability of pay a white mana and tap 5 untapped attacking creatures you control named Templar Knight. That's a weird sentence, so I'm going to read it again. Pay a white and tap 5 untapped attacking creatures you control named Templar Knight. Now they have Vigilance, so they are going to not tap to attack. Search your library for a legendary artifact card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. And of course, the magical sentence is, a deck can have any number of cards named Templar Knight. There are so many interesting and dangerous legendary artifacts that we could go get with our Templar Knights. Mono White finally has this. I think it was the last color to not have one of this effect. So I'm excited to see what decks people build that have 35 Templar Knights in them.
When I saw this, I immediately thought of one card, and that was the Circle of Loyalty.
That's a great shout.
Because I was like, wait, what can I go get with this? And I'm like, wait, there's a thing that gives your creatures a bonus and cares about making more knights. Like, that's probably the card I want to go get.
Yeah,
that's a great shout out.
You've got the whole, Slime Against Humanity finally kind of showed up, which was nice. And Murders for Green. Shadow Apostle has been there for a very long time. Relentless Rassicor, all the way since Fifth Dawn. Persistent Petitioners has a really awesome set of promos they've been doing through Secret Lair for years now. Dragon's Approach is the red one, and now we have the white one. And I think that's lovely. I can't not love it more. I love this type of effect. These cards are always worth $2 to $3 and will be forever until the end of time, because you don't just need 4 per se. You'll want to run a hell of a lot more than that, depending on what you're trying to do. And if you're just having fun and being silly, these are the perfect silly cards. These are the perfect ones.
And side note, I spent a lot of time trying to build with that Slam Against Humanity. It is not a good Magic card.
But you try.
Well,
Self-mill a lot. And
the legendary artifacts that are the most interesting to me to search up are, the One Ring. I guess you can't avoid putting the One Ring in this deck.
Sure.
Akroma's Memorial is really interesting as well, to prevent your guys from getting blocked. And then Circle of Loyalty, as you mentioned already. So
right.
those are super fun.
The rest of the way. There you go. So, PowrDrgn, what's your first card?
Well, I wanted to include Socrates just so I could do the Bill and Ted joke and refer to him as Socrates, but didn't make my list. But yeah, I'm going with Mjolnir Stormhammer. Well, first off, because I expected we would wait and do this with Marvel, but we didn't. We're doing it right now.
It's true.
So it's a 4 colorless legendary artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you attach it to a legendary creature. So we're kind of seeing that a lot with the equipment in the set. They come in, get attached to something, have an ability. And whenever the equipped creature attacks, you tap target defending play or creature defending player controls and put a stun counter on it. So it'll get stuck for a turn. Then Mjolnir deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of tapped creatures that opponent controls. And that's kind of a weird sentence because, especially in a game of Commander, you're tapping down the creature of a player, but then every opponent is taking damage equal to the tapped things that player has. So it's a very weird way that this card works. On a separate note, I thought it would have been really cool to have this come into play, give it a good ability, let it equip to something, but not have an equip cost. And then when we make Thor and Captain America, you could give them an equip cost that they could equip Mjolnir.
I would be very shocked if they don't make another Mjolnir for Thor or whatever.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, and you can equip it for 4 generic mana to anything if you want, but I love the ability's really weird. Tapping their creatures, counting their tapped creatures, dealing them damage because of it. It's stopping their best blocker. Like, it's rad.
Definitely a weird ability.
Yeah, very weird ability, but really
very
unique
offensive
card,
too.
Right? And I appreciate anything that kind of helps with combat. The most, if anything, what I've noticed around Commander games is that they can just mire themselves in giant thing. No one kind of can get through because if you swing, then they're going to come back at you.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 so this helps stop that. Not only are you tapping it, you're stopping it from tapping. All right. What's your second card?
All right. My second one, this has been the, I guess we'll call it the controversy of the day on Twitter. But Viewpoint Synchronization is a 5 mana, so 4 colorless and a green sorcery. And it's mostly about the first ability it has here in Freerunning. Freerunning for 3 mana here, 2 colorless and a green. You can cast this spell for its Freerunning cost if you've dealt combat damage to a player this turn with an assassin or commander. And then you search your library for up to 3 basic land cards. You reveal them, put 2 into play, and 1 into your hand. The thing here is, I don't really have a problem with Freerunning from a design standpoint. Like, at some point, especially for a small set like this, at some point, you're just trying to sell some cards, right? And this isn't like the worst way to do it. But to think that everybody's just going to run every Freerunning card because it can work with the commander, that's not going to happen. I mean, a lot of commanders aren't even super aggressive. Like, some of the cards aren't going to be the thing your commander really wants to do, and they still take up a slot from something else that your deck's already geared toward. But on this card itself, if you do get to do this for 3 mana, ramping up two lands and getting a 3rd in your hand is actually really damn awesome for 3 mana. So this is a really cool card, even at sorcery speed.
But there is drama, you see.
There is.
If we must bring up the Saffron Olive, aka Seth, showed up yesterday, I believe it was. No, it was today. where he said, you know, the free running applying to commanders is an easy example of what's wrong with current commander design. Basically, it's cool when it's an assassin you control deals combat damage to give you the cool discount, but if it's assassin or commander, you've just like broadened the swath to the point where like it doesn't really necessarily mean much to as an assassin card, because now it's more like, well, it's a good commander card and it goes in the assassin deck. And if you look at all of these abilities, like Eagle Vision, for example, for a blue and a generic mana, you can draw 3 cards because you free ran with your commander or whatever. That's good, clean living. And if there's something really awesome one day that's a changeling or a really good assassin, I could see that hitting, you know,
Sure.
competitive tables, because rates are rates. But basically, these are saying it's always great rates, whether it's assassins or it's commander. But if it was just assassins, that makes assassins decks versus.
But I think we already knew. I feel like they've mentioned before, they don't want things that are just stuck within their own set, right? We've had that happen too many times in the past where, for me, I think the original Kamigawa comes to mind, where we had that whatever splice onto arcane, right?
Yeah.
We never even got another arcane spell, right?
But they're going to keep making assassins, right? Like,
yeah, you would think so.
And
in
sure,
some quantity,
right?
Now, I will argue that we could have done like assassins, rogues, I don't know, bandits,
Outlaws.
whatever, right?
Outlaws,
We could have listed like 4 different creature types or something, maybe.
right? Good
But
outlaws.
yeah, I don't
over.
think this is bad enough to where I'm going to claim this is awful design and breaks anything.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
trash or anything, but
No, I think it's fine. I also think that, you know, you've only got so much space on a card to be able to say a thing. This is not that different from Prowl. They could have done something along the lines of, for each assassin and commander that dealt combat damage to an opponent, it costs a colorless less, to make
Sure.
it be like, sure, you can do it with a commander, but if you also have an assassin, that's even better kind of
scale
deal.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could scale it. I'm fine with what we have. I like when I saw that there was consternation about this card, I was kind of surprised.
Same.
But time will tell.
I understand the sentiment in that, like, it kind of feels, you know, shoehorned in of like, do they need to say or commander there? I don't know. I would have liked to have been sort of gated in a way that sort of Reuben explained, of maybe 1 generic mana less for each assassin that dealt combat damage or commander or whatever. But, and I also recognize how, you know, in terms of like going to Ubisoft and explaining things, they probably wouldn't be okay with Outlaws versus it being very assassin based.
Also true.
Because
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of where you're at, like, and you're stuck there.
That's a good point. Maybe that is something they thought about, and it just, you know, you got to really lean on assassins. So what else can you do?
Yeah.
You can make it commanders. Yeah.
Right.
And also, listen, we can hem and haw and commentate, and that is a great way to get clicks and to get referenced on podcasts. But ultimately, this set had the traditional amount of testing that a Magic set has, and I have no choice but to, you know, believe that the designers of Magic have not made a horrific mistake with free running. There's also only like 9 cards that have free running that we've seen so far. This is not going to be the kind of thing where it's like Arcbound takes over the format or Affinity takes over the format, because there just aren't going to be that many cards.
No, and I think what we've also found is that, like, it's hard to know when anything takes over the commander format, because they're all playing at kitchen tables and on random tables and LGSs. And what some people find annoying, others don't, and they just, you know, they deal with it in their group. Somebody comes out with some hate cards against them, so they won't play it anymore, or hell, they just ban them from the group because I don't want to play against your annoying deck anymore. Like,
right.
All of these things happen, and so it's tough because when you're trying to somehow kind of locate and or find problems in a very casual format, you know, this is one person's casual is another EDH level, you know, 7 power or whatever, you know, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's weird. Everyone's power level 7 in EDH. And we're about to make a sticker on that, by the way. Cool stuff to make fun of that. It'd be great. It says, like, you know, Commander Lever power level 7. So you can stick that on your deck box. It'd be awesome. And we move out of the first pick to gather the Townsfolk thanks to our sponsor, Mana Traders, the best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MagicMikes_8N48 November 4 for 10% off your next subscription with Mana Traders. Tell them we sent you. We appreciate them. They're great. And moving on here to hashtag MTG Dads. Congratulations to Gaby and LSV. They are going to have twins.
Amazing.
November. Twins. Whew. Look, man.
Very cool.
I've raised children, all right? But I raised them one at a time. Let me tell you, man. Twins is tough, man. Twins is hard mode. Like,
Dude, I give y'all all the credit in the world, even for one kid. I was like, we've even talked about adopting, and people immediately go, "Oh, adopting a baby would be so nice." I was like, "No, I never said baby." Like, I know how hard that is. I'm going straight up the chain. So, like, man, credit to you guys that can raise the kids, and hell, 2 at a time. It sounds like it's gonna be so rough.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's great to see that they are continuing to be happy and growing their family, and very excited for them.
Yeah, that's obviously it's fantastic for the fam, and wish them nothing but the best. Kids are great, kids are fun. There's been more MTG dads, as we mentioned, I think, just last week, and just part of the kind of the maturity of the community. We've been around for a minute. We're passing 30 plus years. Like, people are getting married, having kids. People are kind of stopping playing as much, or they don't travel as much and stuff like that. But yeah, congrats to them. Speaking of congrats, Dana Fischer celebrated 10 years of Magic with her dad. Goodness gracious. On Father's Day 2014, her dad started teaching her how to play Magic. And here we are 10 years later, and we're talking about her, and a whole bunch of people know who she is, and she's been doing a great job, and I think qualified, right, recently for
the
RCQ? Won RCQ, yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Congrats to her.
And credit to both of them. I think they've made it work when it's a situation that people kind of question. Just like, she's the one that's driving him almost to like, no, I want to go to these events and I want to do this thing. And he's trying to still be, the protective figure and guide her, but stay out of the way and let her have her time. And, it's been an interesting balancing act between the two of them. And now they both kind of have their own character and personality within the Magic community, because they've kind of been seen everywhere, which is kind of cool to watch their relationship develop through everything.
Yeah, I mean,
we got the opportunity to interview Dana and Adam as a part of our +1+1 series. And there was never, she's just an incredibly impressive person, age or no. And at her age, it's even more impressive. And Adam's ability to, guide her and be the Merlin to her Arthur has been really fun to watch. And I'm excited to see what comes next as she becomes an adult. And continues with the game we all love.
There you go. Speaking of the game we all love, who's designing it, Ben Weitz has been promoted as senior game designer, as well as Carmen Klomparens.
That's
which
right.
Is fantastic, and also, and honestly, kind of a rarity. Are transparent about their pay going to $125,000 a year. Very much deserved. Lord knows the pressure around making these products is very high. And the skill is very high, and they've been doing a great job, no doubt about it. Moving on here, Magic the Gathering Assassin's Creed is coming to Magic Online. Okay, can we get what's up with Arena? Why can't we have on? Is this did some weird freaking alchemy set kill this thing because it's going to make me sad and angry?
I have no idea. Honestly, I wish I had a good excuse for you.
Maybe like put 5 or 10 of the cards, right, as like a thing you can buy in the store. Just some stuff we can play with Brawl or whatever.
Right.
Something silly or cool would be nice. Or maybe like, isn't like Sword of Light and Shadow or something here? We could have, I don't think that's on Arena yet, for example. But regardless, just maybe just a smattering, maybe not the whole thing, but it's weird that they can somehow make Magic Online work, but they can't make Arena work. And I'm like, really?
A little strange.
I get it, but really? I don't know. It makes me sad.
Yeah. If they don't, it is odd to make a product in our current, Commander and the two things that matter apparently are Commander and Arena, right? Like, those are the two things that matter, and to have a product that doesn't interact with one of them seems very odd.
It does just seem odd. Obviously, I just feel like I've been kind of spoiled by Modern Horizons 3, quite frankly. And the new Ajani is ridiculous. And the Ocelot Pride is amazing. That card is nuts. I've been killing it with Red White Timeless.
Actual
with
Cat Zoo
Yeah.
made won a tournament.
Yeah. Dude,
with,
that
like,
Ocelot thing is
Devlin.
stupid. That card is so dumb.
Awesome.
Lord Almighty, I'm glad it's just
Yeah.
a 1/1, quite frankly. But yeah, it's just weird. Obviously, I want to play with all the new toys. Who doesn't? And when you kind of get passed by as someone who mainly plays Arena, you're like, but guys,
Yeah.
I'll give you money. It's cool.
Oh, hey, I have another shout out we got to include in here. We're talking about promotions.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, Mike Turian announced that he also was promoted. I guess they're giving promotions around at Wizards.
Ooh.
He is now an executive producer.
Ooh.
Wow. Very cool.
That's
awesome.
very exciting.
I mean, he's been there forever. For him to get a promotion is a huge deal. There's not a ton of room above Mark.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah, at that point, you start becoming director of departments, I believe.
Right, and then and also like some of them they move around a little bit, right, so they can do more, have more responsibility in different areas that they like, all that good stuff. So congratulations to them. The Pro Tour coverage is happening on the 28th through the 30th. It will basically be here before you know it, a week from Friday. And we'll get to see some Modern Horizons 3 draft and Modern Constructed. I'm excited. High power Magic. Rad.
Oh, it's definitely going to be high power. I don't think anybody's doubting that.
Yeah,
346 entrants. Is that correct?
That sounds about right.
That's a Pro Tour size level event. That's going to be very exciting to watch. I'm looking forward to that.
It's one of those things, like, we're in this weird area, and we've been in there for a minute, and it's gotten a lot better, literally just now thanks to Modern Horizon 3, which is great. But there's still just, like, it's like 5 cards, like 5, maybe 10 cards that can give us more or less the entire modern metagame on Arena. It's just like 5, right? It's like Living End. It's that stupid Void Master guy, the 2-drop black card.
Right.
Dothy Voidwalker. Yeah, Dothy Voidwalker. We need that, please, thanks. Because that's the only thing, literally the only thing that prevents me from building full Rakdos scam top to bottom. I've already crafted the stupid things. I already paid for mythics, for God's sake, so I can have my crazy, stupid, enduring enchantment creatures or whatever, or the evoke creatures. But yeah, but like Living End, you know what I'm saying? Amulet Titan. We don't have Amulet. Like, we're so close in so many ways, and I just hate it. We're right there. Like, we don't have the Tron lands. If we could just add the Tron lands, you can do it. And I just hate when that happens.
In that space,
we're right there.
Arena Championship 6 is, I believe, going to be historic format, and that's July 13th. So put that on the calendar.
I mean, look, man, I'm desperate to find cool, interesting decks, And
so I will go out on a limb. I think that Necro Dominance is going to be the deck. I think that the ability to, because we also now have Phyrexian Tower. So you can, there is a very serious line of play where you go turn 1 discard spell, turn 2 Phyrexian Tower, evoke Grief, play Necro Dominance in turn 2. So I believe that's
a real thing.
Tournament. There's a lot of exciting things happening in the format, though. So that's going to be very exciting.
And in Timeless, you can just cast Necropotence.
Well, that too. But that's not the pro.
I know, but the free, it's fun. It's a really fun format. I love Timeless. It's silly and it's overpowered as hell, and that's what I want it to be.
For sure.
All right, so not too much to get crazy, wild, excited, dramatic about this week. Kind of a little cut, a little dry. That's okay.
Quiet. Well, the issue is that our former source of drama, Twitter.com, has been dying for 2 years, and the discussions are gone.
And and Lord knows alternatives have appeared that everyone kind of looks at for maybe an hour, and they go, okay, well, I'm gonna go back to Twitter now because I know where Twitter is, and I've already got all these people I follow, and I already have everything set up. I know how it works, and it's installed on my phone, and blah blah blah.
So if I get the right algorithm to get the TikTok drama, then I will update that.
There you go. So let's move on here and turn the corner to the finisher. This week's YouTube shows had some stellar guest stars. Game Nights had SNL's Andrew Dismukes. Is that how you say that?
I think so.
Commander at Home had Dropout Flies, Nwadiwe.
Yep.
The stars are out. So tell me, which celeb are you hoping shows up next, Reuben?
Well, I love Magic, but there was also a long stretch there where I loved poker. And the crossover between Magic and poker is well documented. So I'm looking forward to the biggest icon in card games of all time coming on, the Queen of Hearts, because she's always the monarch, and the game would be over quickly because nobody else is nearly as cutthroat.
All for their heads. PowrDrgn?
Well, the fandom crossover between Magic and professional wrestling is pretty big, as we've seen multiple times. And there's a pretty popular gaming YouTube channel that's hosted by WWE stars, believe it or not. So Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Big E should start their own Commander show on Up Up Down Down, their channel. And everyone should start with a Soul Ring for the New Day.
What's
Nice.
the New Day?
The New Day is the name of their tag team.
Yeah.
Oh. Today I learned. I don't know. I was watching that really cool documentary about the WCW, by the way.
There's so many right now that are great.
Yeah, As I sort of mentioned before, I don't necessarily like to watch wrestling, but I love to watch stuff about wrestling. Right?
Sure.
It's always fascinating.
It's a rabbit hole, man.
Tell you what. Now listen, I love Magic. I don't even know who half of these big guest stars are, as you could clearly see. But you know who I'd be excited to see on the Commander show? An old school Magic pro. So I'm excited for the next guest to show up out of nowhere, Chris Angel. Now that would be a mind freak.
That is
That
a
it
Magic
would.
pro.
Nice. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, PowrDrgn.
Hey, it's always good to be here. And we made it through from our, I guess we'll call it on location. So
We got there. Thank you, Reuben.
Hey, I'll be back in my normal setup next week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
You bet. Let's move on here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com. Use the promo code MagicMics on checkout. Our co-sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, PowrDrgn, and Reuben Bressler, you guys for watching and listening, and hope you support us at patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us on our exclusive member Discord, live on twitch.tv at MagicMics, live or taped on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at MagicMicsCast and on TikTok at MagicMicsCast, or join us here next week. Same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.